Not to sound too much like Master Yoda, but here's a warning to my fellow Dark Souls and Bloodborne veterans. You must unlearn what you have learned. That was basically the very first paragraph in the official reviewer's guide that came my way. With this ninja game, FromSoftware has more or less built Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice, to subvert and destroy its existing fans. And I mean it, man. You go into this with an ego, and your screen will be wall-to-wall death screens, or shinobituaries, as I like to call them. Carved into being by Hidetaka Miyazaki and weirdly published by Activision, SSDT is a third-person action-adventure game with RPG elements. And that's an important distinction, because while platforming and fast-paced katana slinging is in, a number of key elements that I'd usually associate with a Souls game have been massaged into new mechanics or have been killed off completely. Online functionality, for example, has gone the way of the Bushidodo. For now, let's dive into what this game is rather than what it isn't. You'll be sliding into the badass sandals of Sekiro, the one-armed wolf, a ninja who is at the beck and call of a young lord in late 1500s Sengoku, Japan. Without getting too deep into the tale, as I want you to discover as much of it for yourself as possible, what we have here starts out as a clear-cut rescue mission that branches off into a murky journey of self-discovery. Sekiro is an amnesiac, and the young lord is of a cursed bloodline. The young boy's influence may in fact be twisting the world and the people around him to some degree. Speaking of chopping things until you drop, SSDT is very much its own beast when it comes to combat. Your old Souls games conditioned you to stand at a distance, to observe, and then to nip in for a cheeky hit-and-run assault. Or, alternatively, a hit and roll assault. Very rarely will that tactic help you here. You're expected to stay nose to nose with your enemy in an effort to repeatedly deflect, or parry, consecutive attacks to fill up a posture break bar above your target. Do that and you'll earn a death blow. These will insta-kill smaller foes, but mid and end stage bosses will require multiple death blows, and those will only be offered once you chew through health pools that are more like health oceans. Fail to maintain pressure on your prey, and they'll recover their posture. Try to ignore this system altogether by saturating your enemy in a sheer katana storm of attacks, and it's going to be a battle of attrition that you most likely won't win. While Sekiro isn't bound by a stamina bar, don't let that fool you. Button mashers will get mashed. This certainly feels like an action game on the surface, but it's very much OG Dark Souls rules underneath. Even the most innocuous looking enemy, like an oversized cock, as in chicken, could be your undoing if you show a lack of respect. It's good news then that Sekiro has a bunch of other techniques and tools up his wooden sleeve. As the game goes on, you can unlock a bunch of L1 plus R1 combat arts, and these are tied to 5 skill trees. They're essentially SSDT's idea of heavy attacks. These can be complemented with ninjutsu techniques, special Makiri counters that parry otherwise unblockable thrusts, and a host of all-purpose skills that you can buy with the XP you swap at shrines. Sekiro also has access to a bunch of prosthetic tools that can be deployed via R2 at the cost of spirit emblems. 3 of these can be equipped at any one time, you can cycle through them with triangle, and they open up some damn cool possibilities. Pretty soon you're going to go from throwable shuriken and enemy stunning firecrackers to loaded umbrellas, and a frickin' axe for an elbow that shreds shields. Half the fun is combining certain prosthetic tools with combat arts to create super effective combos on certain enemies. While I don't really have much time to go into greater depth here, hardcore players will love learning the nuances of how remaining enemy vitality affects their posture recovery rate. Plus, there's this cool little rock scissors paper approach to how deflect, quick step, and jump can cancel out otherwise unblockable thrust, sweep, and grab attacks. There's also a lot to learn about how effective your guard is against normal, piercing, thrust, spirit, and fire attacks. Bottom line, SSDT's combat has some depth to it, and you're going to have to adapt and respond at a blistering pace not seen in any Souls game. I should also like to mention that the Dark Souls bonfires return in prayer shrine form. However, death is handled quite a bit differently. Sekiro has the limited ability to resurrect after a fatal hit, at which point you're gonna still be in a desperate sudden death situation. If you die for reals, you're gonna lose half of whatever XP and money you had on you at the time. Unlike a Dark Souls game, there is no retrieval. It's all gone for good. And the hits keep on coming. The more you die, the more friendly NPCs will exhibit symptoms of a hideous disease known as dragonrot. You can reverse this by sacrificing a certain item to a shrine, and you're going to want to do that because NPC plotlines can be halted by infection, and the more rot in the world, the less unseen aid you're going to get. Now the latter is basically a percentage chance to negate XP and money loss when you die next. Your peak unseen chance is 30%. It can drop to 5% if you keep sucking. Though it took some time to adjust to it, I'm very much in love with the combat side of SSDT. It's fast, furious, and rewarding if you can think on your feet quick enough. The stealth and platforming side of this game, yeah, I liked a tiny bit less. I'm certainly not complaining that Sekiro can shrug off 40-foot drops, and being able to zip out of trouble with the L2 grapple hook is pretty damn handy. That said, the wolf isn't as sure-footed as I'd like when it comes to what he can and can't land on, or what he can and can't wall run up. Likewise, the grapple is very contextual about where it may be used. Don't go in expecting free reign with it, like a Tenchu game. For the most part, the stealth system is a blast to use, but it could be better. On the one hand, it's empowering to eliminate a dozen samurai in a level using nothing but shrubbery, one-hit kills, and death from above. On the other hand though, a roving patrol of guards will flat out ignore the body of some compatriot who's sprawled a meter away with 6 speed holes in them. I also experienced the odd issue with the lock-on system when I tried to surgically drop into a mob. Weird little focus shifts to a different enemy would occur, and I'd end up shanking the weakest dude in the cluster as opposed to the dangerous shield guy that I absolutely needed to kill. You should definitely take the time to play it sneaky too. I know of at least one instance in the game where you'll be handsomely rewarded if you quietly give extreme body piercings to an entire courtyard of minions guarding a boss. Impressed by your ruthless efficiency, a friendly samurai will appear to help you, much like a summon. Speaking of, and if you didn't know it already, there will be no player summoning or invasions in SSDT as it's purely an offline experience. I for one think that's a huge loss to the package. That and the removal of character creation, player classes, and the usual RPG trappings of weapon and armor seeking / crafting. I can certainly see how all of that would be a deal breaker for some, but not me. SSDT never professed to be a continuation of the Souls franchise, nor should we have expected it to be an apple fell right next to the tree spin-off like Bloodborne. What we have here is an action-leaning holiday that's branching off in a lovely new direction. Is it as deep as Souls? No. Is it as sadistically difficult, while at the same time appearing to be approachable to newbies? You bet your ass. All that being said, I think there's more than enough Dark Souls DNA present here to make this game irresistible to all but the most obstinate OG Souls fan. Visually, FromSoftware's creaky old engine has received a shot in the prosthetic arm and allows for some truly intricate and amazing boss battles. Now, I'm not going to show or spoil any of them beyond the first hour of the game, but it has to be said that From has outdone themselves with the scale, design, and challenge of these encounters. Some of their best work. Likewise, the world at large is dripping with detail and hidden lore that will reward those who take the time to dig and decipher it all. Better yet, a host of visual flourishes, incidental animations, and environment destructibility means Sekiro feels much more grounded in this place. And rest assured that this thing purrs along in 4K. It's a looker. Whichever way you slice it, Sekiro Shadows Die Twice stands as not just some lazy spin-off made for a new publisher and a new audience. This is its own thing, a near-perfect bridge between old fans and new. FromSoftware has had the courage to break the mold, try something bold, and it's paid off. Miyazaki set out with the intention to break down your expectations and to teach you a ton of new tricks with an old wolf. I'd be damn surprised if you played this and didn't become grapple hooked in seconds.